Just want to cover Mind Brain Cleaner Restore, Healer Cleaner Restore, the fluid, the 12-ounce bottle, okay? The Tibetan light hose. This hose coming down from the highest, holiest places in all multiverses, which emits a pure, white, almost liquid, healing, holy light, which is used to repair, regenerate tissue and other things in the longer versioned stuff coming up. Anyway, it's a process, it's imaginal, and it works. We are powerful critters, you and I. We're offspring of what we're emanated from. The phrase God is love is not just a fairy story. And it's what you and I, my sibling, are at our core. So with intention, all the best. On to the video. Let's address the process by talking a little bit about the tools, the implements, the fluids, balms, gases, other things that we will use in helping healing. Number one, you can't harm anything because your intention is going to be for the highest good. We've already covered all this. All right? And out of a desire, out of love for the person that you're working on, you will be conscious during this process. It's just using a new level of your consciousness that maybe you haven't used consciously previously. All right? I always begin with prayer. Recommend you begin with prayer, whatever you understand that to be. So the first time I begin any process, if I'm focused and doing it right, I'll always start by getting a can of imaginal, let's just use that term, disinfectant, and spraying it around the area. Okay, so what you know is the person's name. You've got probably an approximate age, perhaps a geographic area, and so forth. And what you will do in your mind's eye, so to speak, and I do this, you close your eyes because that helps the mind work. Because what we think is in images and what they show to us, whether they means your higher self, spirit guides, source energy, etc. I'll just use the term they, okay? And what they show you, and will show you, they show me, are the implements that we'll use to affect these changes, okay? One of them is the Tibetan light hose, called that because that's how Harold learned about it. The person who was affiliated with the Dalai Lama said, "Yo, yeah, in Tibet we do that all the time." This hose comes down from the highest, holiest source of all universes, pure, healing, holy light. It's a hose, and it sprays light. Can you believe that there is a fluid that's called Mind Brain Healer Restore? Well, why not? So I get some Mind Brain Healer Restore. I spray disinfectant. I get the person in front of me. And then depending on the concern to be addressed, either sitting facing away from me so I am behind them, or if they're lying down on, I look over them. If the situation is such that presents itself, that the appropriate thing to do is to have yourself shielded behind a glass with some rubber gloves that you put your hands in to go work on the person. You do that because I've done that before. Because we want to avoid fear. Of course, we want to avoid contamination, but our minds, okay, are going to think along the lines that we're used to thinking along. Even in doing this focused mind healing, this concentrated activity, all right? We're going to be thinking like we've thought before. So perhaps it's going to be an injection of fluid, a healing fluid. Perhaps it's going to be pouring Mind Brain Cleaner Restore on top. So using people tape to close with. These are just different things. And the cool thing about the system is they will give you the tools that you need as you need them. So since your mind is going to tend to think in the ways that it's used to thinking, that is that we can use mind-brain cleaner restorer fluid, for example, on the brain to clear and restore the brain function. Perhaps that we can use people tape on top of any incisions that we've made to seal it from infection. Perhaps we'll use healing balm in an approach to put balm over an area that has been infected or has had a problem with it before. So you're going to use and utilize these, we'll say, imaginal things rather than the physical things. Not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV, not practicing medicine. What we're doing is concentrated use of mind to revise physical tissue in modern parlance. Now, Benjamin Biz and Joseph Weege wrote that book about amazing secrets of psychic healing, I don't know how long ago. But the point of it is, I wasn't introduced to this stuff before I started learning these different ways of using consciousness technologies to impact physical stuff. And this requires a level of concentration. Now, if I'm doing focused mind healing and I need a sponge or something to sop up some sort of liquid, I will reach out and pick up an imaginal gauze or sponge or something, okay? This is done in the mind, all right? And when we do this, we think in images. So mind brain cleaner restorer fluid is what's used after we unzip the top of someone's head, for example, to work on them. That's right, a zipper. We unzip, flip the top of the head over after disinfecting the area, and pour in some mind brain cleaner restore. Just pour it in there, okay? And then it works, and set it on the table, which will be provided for you. And then working, having a similar effect to what hydrogen peroxide does on a wound. It bubbles up and so forth, okay? And then that fluid is drained or dried off or whatever because it cleans and restores the brain. It's mind brain cleaner restore fluid because that's what it does. Now, how do these things do this? Forget about how. Leave how behind. As Mike Dooley told us ages ago, the how is the domain of the universe. You're simply taking these actions, all right? And with your intention, powered by love, fueled by emotion, fueled by this electromagnetic energy which we access in the quantum field, science-y stuff. Forget about all that stuff and just do it. Because you cannot harm but yourself. You cannot help but yourself. So you're doing this with an intent for the highest good, unattaching from the outcome, and you're being serious and you're not being interrupted with anything. So some of the tools we use are Mind Brain Cleaner Restore. We always close with people tape. That's the name Harold McCoy gave it, which is a green tape that we use. In other words, if we did an incision to make some changes in the physical body, after we're finished with everything and we put in the healing balm, which is available, which will often have the person's name. Let's say we're working on Edgar Allan Poe, for example. You'll see the little jar of Edgar Allan Poe cleaning healing balm. And you take some of that off and then dip your hand in and pour over that healing balm. And if you heat up your hand and let it drip into the wound, as I say, it's some esoteric stuff or however you want to phrase it. But we're going to use healing balm. We're going to use mind brain cleaner restore. In the brain, if you open up and you see the brain, you look and you see, okay, what is there that's not supposed to be there? And if you happen to see bugs, you can use some sort of spray to loosen them and pick them out, or turn them upside down, or spray, or use a vacuum device and pick them out. I don't know why bugs showed up now in my mind, but they did. But Harold talked about ribbons. And I had a situation where I worked with a person the other day, and they had a ribbon. It's a black ribbon among the gray matter of the brain, and just use the forceps, which are available for you. Everything's available for you, and you clasp on the ribbon. Now, you don't just rip it out because you're working in a brain after all. So perhaps you use some fluid, lubricating fluid, some healing, cleaning fluid, pouring that in there to loosen things up, lubricate and clean and clear, and allow that to come out. and you pull out that thing which is not supposed to be there, hand it to your angels or whoever it is you hand it to, your assistants. They'll take care of that. You deal with the things. After you've done whatever it is that you're doing with the brain, once that's done and completed, then you close the top of the head, put the zipper back on, get your people tape, put that around there, and that part's done. Let's say, for example, here's a person who has problems with their equilibrium. They're a little bit dizzy and so forth. Well, did you know that there's a gyroscope located right back there on their, inside their physical body, because it's not in their body, all right, over their right shoulder blade. And there's a little door that you open, and you can clean the area. I'd spray it and clean it with some steam clean lubricating spray, all right? And then you can replace that gyroscope that's in there, because they'll give you a new one. Take out the old one, clean the whole area, put the new gyroscope in, get it started, set it in, close it up, seal it with people tape, you're done, okay? What's your intent? Your intent is that these people have stability again, and they don't have dizziness or vertigo. What's the fix for that? A gyroscope. So you replace their gyroscope if need be. So I'll give you an example. Let's say someone has something you want to work on, something simple like, okay, I've got a zit on my shoulder, okay? Like when I was a teenager, I had pimples. Ooh, that's right, me too. All right, so they've got a zit or cyst or something on their shoulder. So what do? First thing I'm going to do, get them, bring it in, get it in a meditative state, spray the disinfectant spray over the area, get them in front of me, okay? I'm going to get my gauze and clean the area with some psychic alcohol. You can call it whatever you want, cleaning fluid, okay? Then probably what I'll do, the first thing I'll do is reach over, and they will hand you this, and get a little vial of the fluid that cleans, distills, and heals that stuff. Get the syringe that they've supplied you with, the fluid out, set that on the table there, and then I would just inject that into the zit. Okay, set that hypodermic down, okay? And this was actually for some numbing effect, so that's good. That numbed it a little bit. And then I would proceed to draw out, use a little vacuum tube if need be, and vacuum out the gunky stuff. I would get some healing balm, take a bit of healing balm, pack that in, use a tool if you need to pack in the healing balm, okay? Make the people tape, close it up. All right, and that's done. Boom. This is the sort of thing we'd be dealing with. Now, they will give you new tools. Give you an example. I was working with an elderly lady. She had physical problems and so forth, which we worked on using another consciousness technologies. This is simply another consciousness technology. Some of you people have heard of Reiki. I'm a practitioner of matrix energetic. There's other consciousness technologies that we use to modify the psyche, modify the mind, because it's all consciousness when it comes down to it, folks, boys and girls. We're electromagnetic creatures, and consciousness is where it's at, so to speak. And you can read enough to prove this to you if you study. So I'm working with this lady. I did not know I was going to work on her eye, but I noticed, and here is a fully formed in space eyeball with connective tissue, was about maybe this much of a size of an eyeball in space sitting here. And I'm asking, okay, what do I do with that? And it's okay, look at, okay, well, this person's left eye is just not good. So what do I do? Well, I've already sprayed and disinfected the area and so forth. So I just take that eye out. That's right. Take it out, put it to the side, spray in some disinfectant healing spray, okay? Disinfect and heal the area back there. Take the new eyeball, carefully fit it into place. Imagine the connective tissue connecting the optic nerve and all those other things that are physical things. Set it in there. I'd say if I were doing it now, let's put a patch on it, a gauze patch on it, and some people tape, close that up, and be done with it. Anyway, in this case, they just showed me that here's an eyeball, replace the whole eyeball in connective tissue. What a crazy thing. All right. The result, though, maybe 6 months later, maybe a year later, this lady tells me she went to see her ophthalmologist. Yes, it was a woman. See her ophthalmologist. And they said, well, this is interesting because your left eye, this was the weaker one when you were before. It's now stronger. Okay? This stuff works in the real world. All right? So these are some of the tools that we use. You'll be given all the tools you need. Again, it's certainly worth the investment to get the DVDs from Harold McCoy, Ozark Research Institute, and view those. You can read his book. You can study a bunch of things if you will read the Christ's letters, for example. You can learn about what do you mean consciousness? And what do you mean vibrational frequency and higher self and calibrated levels of consciousness? The thing of it is, boys and girls, that as we elevate our consciousness, we are able to do things that we weren't able to do before. When I was a child, I thought as a child. When I'm a man, I gave up some of these childish things. Well, let's go back to becoming as little children because that works, okay? Because we're not afraid to imagine when we're little kids. So those are some of the tools. The point is you'll be given whatever tools you need based on what you're attempting to repair or in some cases replace. So I wanted to cover that, especially the Mind Brain Cleaner Restored fluid, because that's a wonderful fluid. To give you an example, if you haven't heard him, Harold taught me how to get rid of viruses. Okay. Well, how do you kill a virus? And he said, well, I don't kill anything anymore. I sterilize them. It's an elevation in your consciousness. Why kill something? Just sterilize it. And the way that he did that is make incisions along the spine. The viruses show up themselves as little bitty black wormy things, and you pick them out, put them in the sterilizing fluid. Okay, and close with people's tape. Now, since then, they have shown me there have been improvements. There's a device, which is sort of like a comb, which after you again make this incision on over the person, okay, then as the little wigglers come up, you use this comb to capture them in between the teeth of the comb. Okay, it closes and lifts them up. Drop the whole thing into the sterilizing fluid. Okay, and you're done much more rapidly. But don't be in a hurry, because as you follow your guidance, you're not in a hurry. You give yourself time to get it done. All right?
Audio Jungle.
I covered more than I wanted to in this, but that's okay because not everybody wants to do this, but anyone can do it. It is absolutely available. It absolutely works. I'm quite confident that ORI has hundreds of documented cases of what's happened with it. If you want to believe in what's possible, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's quantum, it's non-physical, but that's okay because we're way more than just physical. One of the entities I've heard from has described our physicalness as being about, compared to our spirit, which is what we are, is about a fingernail. One of my teachers, Doc Vetter, talked about this physical body as being a tenth of what we are. We are more powerful. We are eternal beings. And you don't have to believe any of this. The truth is, very few people are going to watch these videos, okay? Those of you that do, I can tell you I'm 100% sincere. And I've had really, really good success with these practices. And like I say, ORI's had who knows how many. So I wanted to cover some of the implements and explain to you that if you need some sort of device, ask for it and it'll be given to you. If you need a specific fluid or something to inject into an area, they will provide that for you, often with the person's name on it. Like I say, the healing balm is someone's name's healing balm, designed specifically for them. So going out on a limb, so to speak, but it works. And I wish you the best. And you can always send me an email and I'd be happy to speak with you individually, work with you individually. That's all fine. And this isn't the way I make my living. So,
Okay. God, I love you so much.
I love you so much. And I will have more videos on the subject, but this is the main one. But this was one I wanted to do and was ready to do at this time. I wish you all the best to you and yours. You're loved and appreciated, not way more than just me. And if you begin to understand how much you are loved and how much those that you want to help are loved, and how much Father, Mother, life, consciousness, source, energy, whatever terminology you want to call that huger than everything status from which we emanated, loves us. It's loving, it's healing, it's serving, it's guiding, it's protecting, it's infusing with safety, protecting, nurturing, and loving.